Good evening, everyone. We'll be starting in just a second. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. Our webinar will begin in just a few minutes. While you're waiting, feel free to review our program information at csudh.edu/CEIE/construction and take a look at what some of our recent students have shared about their experience in the program. Okay. Started momentarily. Welcome, everyone, and again, we're glad to have you join us at today's information session. My name is Anissa Barton-Thompson, and I'm the social media specialist for the College of Extended and International Education here at California State University, Dominguez Hills. I'll be your host for this session, so welcome. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website and social media resources shortly after today's session. Feel free to download the Construction Project Management Certificate Program's Information Kit for details about program and additional resources covered in the webinar. That address is bit.ly/CSUDH-CMX-info kit. We've provided a link in the chat for those who are participating live. It will also be available via a follow-up email to attendees, as well as on our website. Now, before we jump in, I'd like to review the Zoom controls. This session is being presented in a webinar format, so you won't need to worry about connecting your microphone or your camera. However, we want your participation, so help us address your needs. Use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen if you are joining us from the Zoom desktop app or from your web browser, or in the top right of your screen if you're on a mobile device. Now, please ask your questions in that Q&A panel rather than in the chat panel. In that chat panel, we will be providing helpful links and other information. We want to make sure we don't miss your questions. So once you click that Q&A button, a dialog box will open allowing you to type your question. Our marketing staff members, Stephanie Bukian and Keith Otterberg, and Program Director Elizabeth Legg are standing by to assist. Now, we'll be answering those questions at the end of the session, although often you may find the question you have has been answered during the program overviews. With that being said, let's take a quick look at our session's agenda. Now, we'll begin by meeting our certificate faculty, who will introduce you to the program via an overview of benefits, expectations, and course details. Then we'll go over the registration and login information and address your questions in our Q&A session. And now to kick off today's presentation, I'll turn it over to Mr. Jay Jefferson, our lead instructor for the program. Jay, take it away.
Hi, and thank you, Anisha. I appreciate that introduction. Welcome to the Construction Project Management Info Session. We are excited to have you here today, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join us. What we'd like to do is help you understand more about our program, and we're going to answer any questions, as Anissa said at the end. So first of all, I'd like to acknowledge our instructors. From left to right is David Stern, Larry Kaltman, Jay Jefferson, myself, Linda Newton, who won't be joining us, Austin Pell, and Michael Lalo, who I'm not sure if he'll be joining us. But anyway, so let's take a look at the industry outlook. So there's a lot of positive things happening in the industry today. Of course, there's ongoing challenges. You know, we're dealing with COVID and what have you, but we must continue to persevere, right? The economy, you know, despite COVID, the economy is ramping up very quickly, and there are a lot of employment opportunities out there, especially in construction. And so one of the gauges I like to use when I'm looking at, you know, the dynamics of the construction industry and how things are going is called the Architectural Billing Index. And if you're familiar with AIA, AIA is the organization that licenses all the architects in the country. And they monitor design activities throughout the country. And so what AIA, the Architectural Billing Index, is telling us is that there's a lot of design happening. So the index is like, for example, it's about 9 to 12 months out. So if you figure whatever's happening in design, it won't come into fruition until like about 9 to 12 months out. So that's kind of how the gauge is, that we know there's a lot of construction ahead based on the design activity. And so there's a lot of things also happening in just our local area, right? I mean, if you think about just Southern California alone, we've got a lot of large projects going on. You know, SoFi just built a big stadium, but there's still billions of dollars of construction left on that site to do. The Clippers are building a stadium right across the street. LAX is, they've probably got about $14 billion that's actually in progress. I'm sure if anybody's been to LAX lately and you've seen all the activity, so that'll be going on for a while. K through 12, community college, they passed a large bond back in 2020. So we know that that'll be going on for a while. Residential housing, we can't build housing fast enough just because of the shortage. And so, you know, there's a lot of opportunities for you in construction right now. All right, so let's talk about who should attend classes. All right, so basically, if you're the target audience here, the people that we're trying to reach through this webinar is mostly people who are either looking to advance their career, you know, move forward in the construction industry, or people who are trying to break in the construction industry. As far as people who are trying to move forward, you know, it could be construction laborers, it could be lower level management. You know, we see different groups of people. We see architects, we see engineers come through our program, people in real estate. And so, you know, there's a lot of people that are from different professional backgrounds that like to come to our classes and understand more about the construction management side of the industry. And so, as we mentioned earlier, due to labor shortages, students who are looking to make a career change also could be considering this program as well, you know, because of so much opportunity. And what we've seen is there's a lot of people that don't even have any construction background at all that are coming into the industry. So there's a lot of opportunities for career growth. And so as far as employment opportunities go, depending on the person's background, you could move up very quickly, or you might have to work in the trenches a little bit, but there's internships available, project engineers, assistant project managers. You could work for a GM, a general contractor, a GC, or you could work for a subcontractor. Don't overlook the subcontracting community, because there's a lot of opportunities there as well. If you think about it, there's 10 times as many subs as there are generals. So if you have the prerequisite skills, you could also go into that side as well. So now I want to bring up a poll. There's a poll that's in front of you now, and we just kind of want to get a feel for your background in terms of, there's a lot of different delivery methods out there in construction now. And so we just want to see if you participated in any of these construction delivery methods. Design, bid, build, which is the most traditional method, CM at risk, progressive design, build, task order construction, or you may not be familiar with any of these delivery methods. But please take the poll, and we'll show you the results later on. And as far as the other thing I want to say about employment opportunities is we are approached quite often by various contractors and subcontractors looking for graduates from our program. And we like to be able to be in a position to make a recommendation for you, once you graduate. Okay, so let's talk about the program overview. There's 8 courses covering essential aspects of construction project management. The certificate is awarded upon completion, and it can take as little as 6 months to complete the program. It just depends on your pace and how many classes you enroll in at a time. We are online. We're totally virtual right now. And we're using a Blackboard learning management system and a Zoom web conferencing. So the course sequence is that as a prerequisite, you must take CMX 903, which is plan reading, before you take CMX 902, which is estimating. And recommended prerequisites are CMX 902, 903, and 925, which is bidding and scheduling, before you take CMX 920. And we'll talk more about why you need to do that later on. All the other courses can be taken in any order that you choose beyond that. So let's talk about schedule. So the schedule basically is typically live. The classes are live, what we call synchronous learning. There are some asynchronous activities that you will do offline in some of the classes, but for the majority of the classes, it's synchronous learning. We typically are on weeknights or Saturdays. Most of the classes are 3 hours per session, and typically the classes are scheduled twice a year. Just want to emphasize to you that attendance and participation is very important. We want to see you have your cameras on. We want you to be engaged. It's a great opportunity for you to learn and ask questions. So that's why we want to keep you dialed in. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's see. So now we're going to go to the instructor segment. Oh, okay. So first of all, let me just highlight real quick the actual 8 classes. CMX 905, financing real estate acquisitions. CMX 904, construction accounting. CMX 903, plan reading. 902, estimating. 925, bidding and scheduling. 921, real estate law for construction. 926, construction safety, and 920, field project management. And one thing that I want to do before we jump in there is I want to get input from David Stern, because David can tell you a little bit about what's happening in the industry out there. David?
Hi, Jay. Thank you. So I'm an engineer. I'm also a general contractor. My operations are primarily in private works. So by contrast to all of the mega projects that Jay discussed. I'm really involved in the commercial projects, the housing projects. So the last couple of years have been pretty challenging, not only with COVID and illnesses and workforce being curtailed that way. Actually, we had some benefit early in the first few months of the shutdown. We construction workers were permitted to be on the road when others were supposed to be staying at home and hunkering down. So we benefited from less traffic, people traveling from all over LA County and beyond to the projects. But really the bigger issue has been in the permitting and the inspection side. Permitting has been very challenging because the building departments typically are not open. They have a desk set up outside and a place to drop off documents, but it's different than when you had the opportunity to really go in and speak to people across the counter or to make appointments to do that. So sometimes it's the permitting portion has been slow. Now, the inspectors, though, I have to give them credit. They've been understanding of the office holdup, and they've been trying to expedite the work in the field. It's actually, if anything, been easier to schedule inspections. And I think I'm not saying they've been lenient, but they've been prompt and they've been more succinct, I think, than with their criticism or their approvals than I had experienced before. So, you know, overall, like Jay said, things are happening in a lot of parts of this industry. It's a good opportunity. You know, there's always new challenges, and COVID's just one of them. So back to you on that, Jay.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Some great information. All right, so now we're going to meet our instructors. They're going to tell you a little bit about themselves and about their classes. So I think we actually are starting with David, right, Anissa?
Thanks, Jay. So I teach CMX 905, which is called Financing Real Estate Acquisitions. So I've been in the industry for over 30 years. I've been both a licensed professional engineer, civil engineer, and also a licensed general contractor during that time. I started in the industry as an assistant superintendent to project manager, and then to owner of a contracting company. So in the class, by the way, the class is a one-day class. It's a little different schedule than some of the others. It's a one-day, 6-hour class. So it's 3-hour morning, 3-hour afternoon, then you're done. And there's no prerequisites, so you can take my class in whatever sequence you would prefer. Talking about financing real estate acquisitions generally means finding out where the money is, finding out who the potential lenders are, whether they be banks or pension funds, or there's many other sources of lending. And I try to emphasize the steps that a student should take or a professional in the field should take to actually access the money. And the most important aspect is something called the pro forma, which is essentially the financial model of a project. And so when you're talking to lenders, you're talking to investors, frankly, when you're talking to yourself at night, you want to know how the project is going to go as a financial success. So the pro forma is definitely the most important step. And we go very slowly and step by step on how to build a basic pro forma. But I branch out further from that, and I also go into other pre-construction aspects. That is, what are the things you have to go through prior to launching a project? And in addition to pro forma and lenders, the other critical issue is what's called entitlements, which is getting the approvals of the public agencies. So we spend quite a bit of time on that. In general, I like to think that my course is how to get from the concept of a project to the kickoff of a project, and which then leads into what many of my colleagues are going to cover. So hope you will join me. As I said, it's a one-day course. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Michael, to tell you about his class.
Thank you, David. My name is Michael Lalu, and I've been teaching for over 10 years, and I've been in the construction management field for over 25 years. In the class that I teach, which is construction accounting, the first thing that I do is give the opportunities to the students to introduce themselves to the class. So that becomes like the beginning network for all the students. So they tell about who they work for, job title and duty, and why they're taking this class. So one of the sessions we cover the purpose of accounting. We go over accounting terminology and common documents used in accounting. We used the completed contract and percentage completion contract methods. We talk about cost ledgers and general ledgers. We talk about job cost reporting and good business practices. In another session, we talk about contract billings. We talk about lien rights and accounting for contract revenue and profits. We talk about personnel and payroll processing and reporting. We also discuss certified payroll, controlling labor costs, subcontracting process, the purchase order and its proper process and use. And finally, at the end, we cover accounting for equipment costs. Renting versus buying the options. And we include also accounting for overhead costs, fraud and how to prevent it, financial statements and the elements of litigation and application of different technologies. So there is a lot of information that we cover. I'd like to engage all the students so everybody will get the chance to share their experience with the rest of the class. And it's usually very rewarding to my students. So I hope to see you soon. And thank you, and I'll pass it to Larry.
I teach plan reading and cost estimating. I've been in the construction industry for 60 plus years. I'm a registered architect, licensed general contractor, and a California certified access specialist. I encourage and require participation in class discussions, and I certainly encourage you to be visible in the Zoom gallery that we can have a view of each other and understand where we are getting and not getting some of the information, and it helps me and it would help you. Plan reading is like another language. There are many design disciplines that are involved in creating the building plans. Civil engineering, structural, mechanical, electrical, landscape architect, interior design, and they all come to the table with a different language and code regulations. The plans reflect the instructions from the architect and the engineers for building the building. As the various consulting disciplines are removed from the floor plan that should be on your screen at the moment, the underlying architectural drawings are uncovered. In looking at these plans, the course touches on the meanings of lines, symbols, and schematics, dimensions and how to understand them, how notes enhance the drawings, how all of this speaks that new language. Classes are taught employing Bluebeam software, Excel, drawings, actual photos of the buildings and construction, and 3D modeling to assist in understanding the building and the construction process. In cost estimating, and I should note that both plan reading and cost estimating classes are taught on Saturday mornings from 8:30 to 11:30. In the cost estimating class, we'll be using the plans from the plan reading class. Students will work in teams to create a cost estimate for building that house. And defining the scope of work for each of the contractors who will be on site to build a portion of the building is a key to being able to produce a competent quantity takeoff and an estimate of the cost of construction. Quantity takeoffs or surveys are vital to doing a cost estimate. Simple math and simple algebra are necessary to be able to define the quantities of materials and labor required. And the class will absolutely exercise your math muscle. Again, we'll use drawings, photos, and 3D models to tease out the quantity takeoff. And at the last class, we'll look at all of the team estimates and discuss the successes, failures, and issues raised in the team's cost estimates. And then we'll compare their work with the actual cost of constructing that building. I look forward to seeing you, dialoguing with you, and sharing time with you in the plan reading and cost estimating classes. Now, here's Linda.
I wanted to state that when I first started in 1989, I became an estimator, project manager for Sully Miller, which is a heavy highway construction company. And when I started, I knew nothing about construction, equipment, bidding, anything. And I remember how overwhelming it was to get started. So I keep that in mind when I teach my class. Currently, bidding so many different types of bids in the industry in the Southern California area. We cover the major types of bids and go through them in detail, starting from the beginning. We like to evaluate the risk and what's going to be involved in bidding and submitting bids. I do some group exercises and have some guest speakers. And then the second half of the class, we go through scheduling, and we start with basic scheduling, just putting things on a board, moving through Excel up to Microsoft Projects. In Microsoft Projects, which is the critical path method scheduling software, we just get into it very little. The college or the extended education does offer a 3-week or 4-week project management class. So if you really want to learn Microsoft Projects, I encourage you to take that class. But we go through just the basics in scheduling so that we understand how a schedule is put together and what impacts the schedule. And then the very last class, we do a group project, and everybody presents it the last class. And the class usually loves it. It's very informative, and it shows what you've learned in the class. Like Larry stated, I really would like to see everybody's faces and have everybody participate in the class. It really helps the whole entire class when everybody participates and asks questions. So I look forward to having you in my class. I always enjoy all my students. And so next up is Austin.
Thank you, Linda. Yes, my name's Austin. Last name is Pell. I teach the CMX 921 Law for Construction class. I've been a member of the California State Bar since 1997. I'm also a member of half a dozen federal bar associations and licensed to practice, United States Tax Court, United States Patent and Trademark Office, United States Ninth Circuit and Court of Appeals. I practiced construction and real estate law from 97 until about 2002. And since 2002, I've been employed in the construction industry as a construction manager, construction project inspector, structural steel inspector, construction professional, contract professional, and sundry job titles and roles as a consultant. Now, my class is 6 sessions, 3-hour sessions in the evenings. There are no homeworks, there are no assignments, no quizzes and no exams, no required text. Part of the reason is because construction law is very difficult conceptually, and you'll have enough on grasping everything that's being taught to you in the 3 hours that you attend my class. Attendance is compulsory to receive the passing grade in this class, as in the other classes in this series. I also graduated from this program in 2013. So I once sat where you are today, wondering whether to enroll or not. And the class has been very good for me. It boosted my career. The certificate program was a boost to my career. I hope it does the same for you. Here's my certificate from 2013. I'll take you through very quickly the nuts and bolts of my class. Session number 1, we learn about an overview of the judicial system and different methods of dispute resolution. Session 2, you're taught contract formation and defenses, remedies, and damages for breach of contract. Session 3, bid law, construction contracts again, and breaches of contract. In more detail, session 3 is more detailed than session 2, although some of the topics are repeated. Session 4 encompasses delay claims, differing site conditions, and changes to construction contracts. Session 5, mechanics, liens, stop notices, releases, and bonds. Session 6, contract estate license law, claim prevention, and good business practices. I try to tailor my classes for everyone. So whether you work or are a contractor, or work for or are an owner, and whether you practice your trade in the public sector or private sector, I tailor the class so.
Okay, looks like I'm up. All right, so my name is Jay Jefferson, and I teach CMX 926 and 920. 926 is construction safety, and 920 is construction project management. And so first of all, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. My background is been in the industry 40 years. The majority of my time was spent in the Cal State system, actually managing major capital construction projects of the type and nature that you see behind me. And I retired from the Chancellor's office about 3 years ago, but I love teaching. I love engaging students. And so I've been teaching for about 11 years, and it's really a joy and a pleasure for me. And I actually worked on campus about 9 years out of the 30. So the Dominguez Hills campus is near and dear to my heart. And so let me tell you about construction safety, all right? So sometimes I get the question about, can construction safety be waived if I've already taken OSHA 10 and OSHA 30? And so the answer is no, because it doesn't really relate in that way that an OSHA class would. What we're trying to do is teach safety from a project manager's perspective. There's a lot of things that a project manager needs to be dialed into when they're managing safety. Managing safety is just one of a project manager's many tasks, of course, but it is important to know and understand the ins and outs of your responsibilities as a project manager. And so what we cover in the class is excavation and trenching, OSHA inspections. You know, if you have an accident on your site, OSHA will come out. And so you got to know how to be prepared to respond to that. You got to know how to manage accidents, what's required at working at elevated heights. And, you know, we'll have guest speakers and industry experts that will come in and talk to you all, the boots on the ground folks. We'll have what we talked about earlier, some of that asynchronous learning where you'll be doing like brief quizzes and discussion board. And so there's 8 classes in that course. And so let's talk about construction project management. So construction project management has actually become, it's kind of evolved into a capstone course. And the reason that happens is because we kind of changed the format a little bit. We're well into it now. This is probably about the third course that we've done the format change under. And what we do is we put, besides all the other great stuff we teach, like we teach about delivery methods and a lot of other stuff. But what we do is we do we put students on a team, and we give them a mock RFP. And so the mock RFP, the students will be required to write a proposal as a team and compete against other students. And they'll do a presentation to industry experts through interview. They'll be scored, and your grade will be based on, your performance on your team. But we'll also be covering other things like budgeting and construction, constructability reviews. The whole idea of, one of the reasons why we gave you the poll in the beginning was because as an industry, we're moving away from adversarial relationships and working toward collaborative relationships, people getting along. Your success is built on the collaboration of the team. And as you know, there's no I in team. So that's one of the strong suits of what we try to promote in our program. And the reason why you need to take plan reading and estimating and bidding and scheduling is because you will use those skills in the project management course. Now, if you already have those skills, like if you come into the program with those skills, then fine. But you will need those skills when you take the final course. And but it's a great, we've had such great feedback from students on that course, and we're very excited to present it to you. All right, so now let's talk about some of the program benefits. All right, so as we've mentioned before, we'll have subject matter experts, our instructors and guest speakers. Our instructors actually have accumulated knowledge of 180 years. And so everybody's expert, every instructor is an expert in their field and very knowledgeable. And, they've been around a while. So, there is a side of practical application. So the things that you learn in our program, you will actually be able to apply directly when you get out there in the construction industry. And if you go to our website, you'll find testimonials from people who have actually gone through the program and been able to apply their knowledge in the real world. And that's what we're all about. There's not, there's no theory or anything like that. There's, the opportunity to gain the knowledge that you will actually use. And so, there'll be some great career opportunities for you. We did have job site visits pre-COVID, but we're hoping that one day we'll be able to do that again. But and we're in the past we've had career days. There's no career day scheduled, but we hope that we'll be able to bring you a career day before you graduate from the program. And so with that, I think we're going to move on back to Anisha.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you to all of the instructors for their great overview of the program. We're going to come back to them momentarily for our Q&A segment. But first, let's take a quick look at the course delivery and registration details. Now, almost all of the CSUDH extended education programs are being offered in an online format, which means that students are assigned online access through our campus's IT services. Each student will need login credentials to access our student portal called My CSUDH. This portal includes Blackboard, our learning management system, where our course content is distributed, Toro Mail, which is our Gmail-based student email system, and the Zoom web conferencing tool. Now, these login credentials, which consist of your username and your email and account password, are issued through our registration office about 2 to 3 business days after registration in your first course. Now, enrollment is available from our Extended Education Registration Office Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, if you've taken a course at CSUDH in the past 2 years, you may register online using your my.csudh.edu account. We highly recommend that you register early to make sure that there's space in the course and to allow enough time for course information and online access to be created and distributed. Payment is due at the time of registration. Now, you can pay for courses individually or for multiple courses all at once. The federal WIOA, that's Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, what's known as WIOA, provides funding through the California Employment Development Department for qualifying students who are currently either unemployed or seeking career training. Now, for more information, please email WIOA@csudh.edu or visit our program website for more information. If you need any further financial assistance, additional assistance, please Google private student loan providers or connect with salliemay.com for student loan details. Again, we recommend that you register at least 1 week before the course begins and check your Toro Mail and personal emails frequently for special instructions and campus notifications. You'll also want to be sure to test your account access in Blackboard, and let's make sure that you get comfortable with the layout of the class, such as where to find announcements, Zoom meeting schedules, discussions, and the like. Let us know via our academic technology services if you're having any difficulty connecting. So at this point, we are ready for our Q&A, but before we jump in, I want to go ahead and share our poll results. So I'm going to pop that up there for everyone to see. That should be on the screen now. So again, the question that we asked at the beginning of the segment was, which construction project delivery methods have you participated in prior experience? So we have 15% that said design, bid, build is an experience that they've worked with. We've had no one using CM at risk. Progressive design build with 10%. 50% design build. 50% of our participants have experienced that. And task order construction, 30% of our attendees here have used that in their projects before. And approximately 35%, so about a third of our attendees have no familiarity with project delivery methods like we've mentioned. So this is a great opportunity for all of you to get familiar with it in your courses. In this program, you're going to be exposed to all these different methods, and you're working with experts in the field. So I think that's pretty awesome. So now we're ready to jump into our Q&A. Once again, I'm going to remind everyone that's joining, if you have a question, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we will get started. So the first question that we have, and gentlemen, if you can go ahead and unmute yourselves. So I see Austin, David, Larry, and Jay are joining with us. Can you please explain the differences of the types of CPM from the quiz? I may not have answered correctly as I don't know what style I have worked under. So, or I think she's referring to the poll. So can you explain a little bit about the differences for those of you who are not, for the attendees who are not familiar with the different project delivery methods?
Okay, I'm just going to give you like the very high level 1 minute version, because it really would take at least 3 hours. I mean, that's one of our courses, that's the first course in our classes. We cover all of the delivery methods. So there would be no way that I could explain all that to you with the time that we have. But just on a very high level, design, bid, build is the most traditional method of construction. And that's just simply as it's stated. You design the project first, the architect engages with the owner, designs the project, the owner goes out to bid, and then a contractor bids on it and bills it from there. Whereas the other delivery methods, CM at risk, design build, progressive design build, task order construction, all those other delivery methods actually engage the contractor and the architect up front. And so they are engaged at the beginning of design and they go all the way through the end of construction. And so that's like the high level 50,000 foot answer.
Okay. Does anybody else want to contribute to that? We're all good? Okay, so our next question is from Greg. He says, is it common for students to complete the program in the 6 months mentioned in the presentation?
You know, that's really probably an Elizabeth question because it's an administrative question, but it just depends on, like I said earlier, it depends on you as an individual, how fast you want to go through, how much time you have. If you want to take more than one class at a time, yes, it's possible.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did. When I took the certificate program, I completed it within 6 months, and there was a little bit of overlap. Some classes were still going on while I enrolled in new ones, but the overlap was usually only a week or two for each session. So I only found I was taking 2 classes at once for perhaps a total of 6 weeks during the 6 months, or 2 classes simultaneously. I don't know if that helps the person who tendered the question, but I completed within 6 months.
Okay.
And it wasn't that hard for me.
And the program is actually designed so that the schedule can accommodate a student completing within a 6 month period. So it is absolutely possible. It's not that we're saying that you're expected to, but you absolutely can do it within a 6 month period. So thank you for that question. Samuel asks, I know there are schools which offer certificates for construction management. How is this construction project management different from other programs?
I'll jump in on that one.
Okay.
I think you'll find that, yes, there are other programs in Southern California. I think the thing that makes us probably unique is that we offer the ability to get through in that 6 month period. The cost of our program is significantly less than most of the others. And I think we have a faculty that has a good deal of practical experience and longevity in the field. And a lot of us have been teaching for quite a long time. So between the teaching experience and the practical experience in the field, the program speed of achieving the certificate and the cost, I think we present a very good alternative for most students.
Excellent. Okay. Go
Yes,
ahead. If you have time.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yes. Every program is unique, and when I enrolled, I did a considerable amount of research, and I made a matrix of cost worth versus time versus what I thought were the perceived benefits. And some construction management program certificates you can obtain as little as 3 days from a correspondence school, and pay just $100 or $200. And then some go all the way to 2 or 3 years to complete to get a certificate, and cost many thousands of dollars, which in which case, in my mind, you might as well get a master's in business administration. You could do that in the same time for the same cost. So for me, this was instead. So for me, this was offered the most bang for the buck. And like Larry says, we have seasoned professionals teaching the class, and it's a 4-year state school. Our Cal State University Dominguez Hills is a 4-year state school. It's not a correspondence school. So you get a certificate that means something that people will recognize when you hang it on your wall. Thanks.
Absolutely. Okay. Veronica asks, for someone who is new to the field, do you recommend we know some type of trade, or is that necessary? So what happens if someone is brand new and they don't have any prior construction, project management, or project management experience?
David, I'm sorry, you're muted if you were jumping in.
I got you. Go ahead.
I believe that the fact that you're here is a testimony to your intelligence and your drive. And between the two of those, you're a sponge that we can fill up with a good deal of information and begin to direct you into how to use that information and become part of the construction industry. So no, you don't need to have prior experience. You just need to have the willingness and the willingness, period.
David, did you want to add to
Yes, I
that
did.
as well? Go for
So
it.
actually, I want to speak on behalf of Linda, who's not with us tonight, because you may remember from her introduction that she said she started in the industry basically without any knowledge or experience, and she built a whole career from that. And I think that combining that information with, I'm agreeing completely with Larry said, that is, if the people have the interest and the willingness, this is a great industry to jump into, and this is a great way to start. You do not have to come from a trade.
Absolutely. Okay. A question comes in from Alyssa, who asks, how applicable do you think this course is for solar PV design build?
Well, I think that you will learn the mechanics of design build. So I don't think it really matters what type of design build project you're managing, whether it be, infrastructure or solar or electrical, whatever the design build project is not, it's sort of inconsequential because you're learning the mechanics of the design build process.
We're going to give you a skeleton to which you'll apply specific knowledge as you gain it in a particular field.
Kathy would like to know, does the construction program cover off-site projects?
In my two classes, plan reading and cost estimating, we do deal with civil engineering portion of the work, as well as not as well, but the civil engineering in terms of off-site and on-site. It's not a focus of the course, but it's part of those two classes.
Okay. Here's another question. What happens if a student has a schedule conflict on a particular day of class? How do we address that?
We typically have some leeway to allow a student to miss one class session, which they have to make up in an assignment. They can't miss more than the one. And, things happen for everybody. There are family issues, pre-planned vacations. The boss called and wants me into work. We will work with you on that as long as it's not abused on your end.
Okay. And everybody always wants to know this question, is there homework? What does a homework look like, or what does a project look like?
In my classes, yes. More so in the cost estimating, but there is some in the plan reading as well. And it's not punitive. It's a means of getting you more involved and in many ways showing you what you don't know, so that you can show me what you don't know, and then I can deal with that and tailor my course for you.
Absolutely.
And I would just like to add, if you're serious about your career development and growth, then you shouldn't shy away from homework, because You know, just learning something in the class and not having any type of application, whether it be homework or otherwise, is really not to your benefit.
Okay. I
Yeah.
have, oh, go ahead, Austin, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to elaborate or expand on what Jay said. Yes, the more you put into this curriculum, the more you'll get out of it. You do extra work, you read extra materials, you do study extra. You'll graduate with more knowledge. That's what I did while I was a student. And also, I'm thinking about, well, I'm in the process of generating a homework assignment, but it should only take about 3 hours to complete. And it will be based chronologically along with the class notes. It will be multiple choice, and the answers will be verbatim in the class notes, just to make sure my students have the minimum amount of fundamental knowledge that I would like them to have by the time they finish my class. Thanks, Anissa.
Thank you. I see that we've answered the majority of our questions. I think we have one more. Abdul asks, is there any program for government employees with fees reduction for this course? I'm going to answer that question. Abdul, we do not have a specific government program other than the WIOA program, but please get in touch with our registration office and we can coordinate for payment or additional kinds of assistance information. And we have one more from Zachary. He says, will that field project management class in summer be online only as well, starting in July or August? Do we have an idea?
Yes, that class starts on June 4th, and that class is online.
Okay. Do students have access to class recordings? This question is from David.
In my classes, I record every session and I post them to Blackboard within a day of the session, so that, yes, all of mine are.
Okay.
Mine are too.
Excellent, excellent. Is there any material or books you recommend to review before the courses start to better prepare for the whole program?
For me, come in like a sponge and get ready to be inundated.
We love that.
For me, I have recommended readings that are part of my curriculum and syllabus. And so I typically post the syllabus about a week in advance. And so if you register and you get your syllabus off of Blackboard, then you'll be able to do some of the recommended readings ahead of class.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem I have is most of the books that pertain to construction law are more expensive than the class. For example, this one from ABA Publishing was about $200. So I'm having I'm trying to find a cost-effective book for my students to purchase, not as a mandatory purchase, but to help with the class. But I haven't been able to find one. I'll list some in the bibliography that I post on Blackboard. For example, this one I found to be very good. I've almost finished reading it. But like I say, often the books are more expensive than the tuition fee. So I don't make any of the reading mandatory for my class.
Absolutely.
Anissa, may I, one last thing?
Sure.
For those of you who when you register, you will have access to LinkedIn Learning. That's part of the Blackboard and resources that become available to you. You can get in there and spend as much time as you'd like looking at course-related materials, and just walk in as ready as you could be.
I love it. I love it. And one final question, and we'll go ahead and wrap up. Alicia asks, with no online class experience, how bumpy a ride will this be on the whole?
Not bumpy at all.
Not at all. Not at all. They make
I think
environment
the
very
primary,
comfortable. Go ahead, Jim.
I think the primary issue is your bandwidth. I mean, that's the only thing that I've seen as a hang up for some students is that they can't maintain a connection. They don't have enough bandwidth. I mean, those kind of problems. And so if you can resolve that before you start the class, you shouldn't have any problem navigating Zoom or Blackboard.
Right. One final question, and it's actually not a question. Well, it's a question, but do you know if there are if there's a large number of women who work in this industry of construction? Jay, I'll let you speak to that, and then we'll close it out.
Okay, too bad Linda's in here because she's a
Right.
great resource for that. But yes, there are a lot of women in the construction industry. I mean, on every level. I mean, you'd probably be surprised if you go out to a construction site, you're going to see women on every level. I'm kidding you not. Laborers, lower management, upper management. There's all types of opportunities.
Absolutely.
I've been
it's something
teaching
that
in
has
this
changed
program.
over the last decades. It's a really dramatic change.
I've been teaching in the program since 1996, and I can tell you that there's been a yearly increase of the number of women that are in this certificate program, and that translates into people in the field.
Absolutely.
Also,
And,
there's organizations that, you know, like if you're a female interested in participating with other females, there's a multitude of organizations. Women in Construction is the first one that comes to my mind. There's women civil engineers. I mean, there's women architects. There's all types of organizations specifically designed for women. You know, if you wanted to be mentored or encouraged or network, I mean, you know, all that.
absolutely. We also have a series of videos that will be released on our YouTube, and we have a couple of our former students who've gone through the program, female and male, and we encourage you guys to check out their testimonials and see what they think about the program. So at this point, I want to bid a good evening and thank you to all of our instructors. Thank you for participating and sharing your invaluable information. And I wanted to go ahead and share our details. So at this point, we've covered a lot of information, but we want to make sure, just in case you missed anything, feel free to email us or call us during our business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at learn@csudh.edu, or call 310-243-2075. And when you're ready to take your next steps and register, please call our registration office. They'll be standing by to take your registrations over the phone at 310-243-3741, option 1. Also remember that if you've been through the CSUDH system before, you can simply go to the My CSUDH portal and register for your courses online. Okay, so this concludes our Construction Project Management Program information session. And we want to thank everyone for joining us today. Again, feel free to connect with us on our website, via our social media, on our Facebook and LinkedIn group. And remember to register early to get your spot in your preferred classes. We'd love to get your feedback on today's session, so please let us know how we can improve the quality of the information provided by visiting bit.ly/CSUDH-webinar-feedback. And it actually will pop up at the end of this information session as well. Now, we'll stay on in the session for a few minutes more to give everyone a moment to jot down any last-minute notes and download the information kit from the chat panel. The recording for this session will be online shortly on our website, and it's actually live on YouTube right now. When you're ready to leave, simply click the red Leave button in the corner of your screen. Once again, thank you for joining us. Stay safe, and we look forward to working with you and seeing you in class. Have a good one, everyone.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
I have no idea if the audio is playing or not. Was that music playing?
It was not.
Ah, dang it. All right.
It started, it stopped, it started again, and then it stopped.